Welcome to the Rebel Rise podcast, a place where values-driven founders on a mission for more come to connect, learn, and grow. Here, we celebrate the relentless spirit of leaders building businesses that create real good for their clients, communities, and the world. No subject is off limits, and every episode is designed to bring you clear strategy, steady leadership, and people-first operations you can actually sustain. Get ready to grow ethically, lead well, and build something that works without burning you out. Your impact journey begins right here. Let's go. Today on the podcast, we are sitting down with Jessica Noele. Now, Jessica is a creative director, somatic movement facilitator, and a Reiki master who lives between woo and the world. She's the founder of Feral Attuned and a long-time brand strategist who believes that clarity lives in the body as much as the brain. I am so excited to introduce you all, so let's dive in. All right, welcome, Jessica, to Rebel Rise. I am so excited to have you. I know we haven't had you on the podcast before, so I'm excited to introduce you to all of our listeners, but welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to be one of the first guests back from a little hiatus.
Yeah, it has been a minute. We took, I think, a 1.5 year break, and this is the very first podcast episode that we're recording. So I'm so excited to have you. For those of you guys who don't know Jessica, we're going to get into some details, but she is just not only a wealth of information, has expertise in marketing and branding, and also is building her own business, which is really what we're here to talk about today. Because one thing, Jess, I really love about you, and again, for context for everybody, we've known each other for like 6 or 7 years now, I think.
Yeah, at least 6, definitely probably like 7.
It's been a long time. So just getting to watch your journey and your growth and see you really living by the I'm doing things my way. And I not only embody that every single day, but I'm showing others the path. I'm showing them I'm trailblazing the way. And so that's one of my favorite things about you. And we just did a rebrand. So this season of the podcast is all about that. It's all about breaking the mold and just doing things differently because it's in alignment with you. So I'd love for you to start by sharing a little bit about your background, whatever you feel called to share, and then we'll talk about Feral a little bit or a lot.
Or a lot. My background, I mean, it kind of depends on what chapter of my life you catch me in. I started in lifestyle marketing and PR, working in music. And from there, I really just dove straight into working in nonprofits, doing a lot of branding and marketing there. Went to school to be a graphic designer. I mean, my whole journey has kind of been this conglomeration of where do I want to go next and how am I going to get there? So I wanted to move to New York. I decided to get my master's degree and work there as an art director, creative director. And then after that, kind of just blew up my life. Didn't want to live in New York anymore and decided I was just going to pack a suitcase and leave. And I left for about 18 to 20 months, roughly. All the while trying to build a freelance business. Back in the day that you were a freelancer, you weren't an entrepreneur. So showing my age a little bit, but I built my own marketing studio, and that's what funded my travels for the large part of 2 years. And when I finally settled back in the States, it was more or less a journey of just trying to find myself again, just period, like finding who I was and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to continue in these next iteration of my life. So it always landed back with design work, branding, really helping at the time, big businesses, corporate tech, all of the really super sexy stuff. Men, dealing with them a lot and being in, the only woman in a lot of those rooms to sort of guide a narrative or story that allowed people to connect with these big tech brands that weren't actually very sexy. So there was that. But all behind the scenes the entire time while I was being this big boss bitch of a lady in these big rooms, I was also building sort of my holistic healing practice, not only with myself, but also outwardly, and trying on a lot of different hats. So I did a lot of dance fitness. I taught pole fitness. I taught yoga. I did meditation circles. I'm also a Reiki master. I think we met at Fit 678 here in Scottsdale, just taking Vixen, now VXN, and then just going through all of the certification process. So I really love a certification. If I can learn more, I'm going to do it. That really just, the journey of my life has led me to the creation of Feral, essentially, is what it's all chalked up to.
Yeah, I love it. And listening to that and knowing you and where you are now, I can see how really all of that experience feeds into the feral experience. And before we get into that, because I'm so excited to have you share with our audience, but I have to go back to what you were saying about living in New York and kind of lighting that life on fire and then traveling and funding your lifestyle through your own business. I think that's something that, especially I'm speaking about myself in particular, but I think a lot of people feel the same, is it's really scary to let go of what you know and let go of what's familiar. And that's what I'm hearing so far is a repeating theme with you, is that you're actually pretty comfortable getting uncomfortable in that way and just starting over completely. So can you talk a little bit about that, whether it's like the personal angle or business building angle?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they both feed into each other so synergistically. God, I can never say that word. But I think they feed into each other really beautifully. And yeah, I'm not super risk adverse. I will definitely jump without looking. I will definitely make a decision on the fly. And even grad school, I applied for a program 3 months, like at the last date that you could apply for it. Got in 2 weeks before the program started. So I had 2 weeks to pack up my life, which was at the time in Tucson, Arizona, and move halfway, all the way across the country, essentially to New York City, find a place to live. I had 2 cats at the time. I brought my computer and 2 suitcases and my cat. And like, that was essentially it. And then trying to figure out a whole new city on my own. Didn't know anybody. It was brand new. And really, the only person I had there was my best friend had moved with her boyfriend prior. She at least had a little help with him. Me, I was just kind of like in the background, like, hey, can you just help me out a little bit? But same thing. I think when I get that itch or sort of that inkling of like, I think I've hit my ceiling here. I think I've accomplished what I came to accomplish in this version of me, then it's time for me to try something new. And in those opportunities, I kind of just opened myself up to whatever that looks like. And when I was 30, it was this program called Remote Year, RIP. They're no longer in existence. But at the time, it was a very novel idea that if you could do your job from anywhere, why wouldn't you be traveling the world and working, from a beach or from, a coffee shop in Croatia or, something like that, right? Why are you limiting yourself to like your little studio apartment or the Starbucks up the street when you could be having these really global experiences? And so essentially it was a program that I always say you paid rent, you gave them $2,000 a month. They covered your airfare, your co-working space, what else? Your apartment for the month, and a couple extra like group activities because you were traveling with like a cohort of roughly around 70 people. So it was a big community, but you had so much freedom to do what you needed to do. So for 12 months I was doing that, and that just kind of fell into my lap. So, and same thing, kind of got told that I was accepted in September and we left in January. So it was a real quick turnaround, talking to my current employer at the time to sort of see, hey, would you be open to this remote life thing? And then having them being like, no, there's no way that's going to work, right? Because that was the narrative in 2015. Cut to 5 years later, everyone's working remote. At the time, it was just such a unique idea. And I was kind of freelancing on the side already. So I just figured if I could bump that up, that would help fuel the $2,000 I would need, plus a little extra cash. And with that, I also took Reiki with me. So that was one of the things that also helped me along the way, is I was able to be a Reiki practitioner for not only the people I was traveling with, but when I would get to these other countries, I would look for yoga studios or like wellness centers, or even partnering with other Airbnb, not Airbnbs at the time, but like bed and breakfasts or smaller hotels that might offer a little bit more luxurious, experiences to their guests. So that was something that I also weaved into the equation that helped me along the way. And then, yeah, I think just in general, I think you only live once. So why not go for it? And I'm very fortunate and lucky that I know that if I make a misstep or if I fall back, I have an incredible family and support system that I could lean on. Fortunately, that's never been the case. But yeah, I don't see the point in staying somewhere if it's not for you anymore. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. We were just having a conversation about that offline. I mean, you have to move on from things when they're not for you anymore. And I love that you ended your answer with that, because
Mhm.
that's something that holds a lot of us back, is not only leaping out of familiarity, but also walking away from people and relationships and things that don't serve you. And you've kind of got to be able to let go of both. And for those of you listening, what she just said is she always has support from somebody, but she's never needed it. So let this be your sign that it is okay to leap and to jump and to walk away from those things that don't actually suit you, whether it's a personal or a business relationship, setting, commitment that you've made. You're not really ever stuck or committed to anything unless you commit yourself to it. And if it's not a fit for you anymore, that's okay. That's how you get new
Nothing's
opportunities.
permanent. Like, there's nothing permanent in this life. We're not living forever. We're not like, so make the best of it. And if something is calling to you, I mean, to me, I always weighed pros and cons. I always looked at what would happen. Okay, so I moved to New York. I can't find an apartment. I can't afford to live here. What's the worst that happens? All right, so I got to leave grad school, move back to Phoenix likely, and hang out with my parents for a little bit, which I ended up doing anyway when I was 33. So when I was in between trying to figure out what I was going to do, I had at least a soft place to land for what ended up being 6 months. I thought was going to be like 3, but you stay with your parents a little bit longer because it gets comfortable and they give you free food. But but also I think in general for me, if I'm curious about something, I want to explore that and see what opportunities lie there. I think if you're continuing to stay in a place that isn't serving you, then you're just going to diminish your light and who you are. And maybe the things that light you up anymore, those will fade away. Like, your world will become smaller is what I always think. And so to me, I'm like, how big can I make my world, and what can I see and experience and meet and taste and, jump off of or jump into, or, all of
Yeah.
those kinds of things.
Yeah, I just saw. So 2016 is trending, which is funny because that's literally what we're talking about. But I saw your post
Yeah.
this morning and you had a video of you literally jumping off of a bridge, or was it a cliff? I
It
was
was a
like
cliff. Yeah.
clutching my pearls over here because I am not that type of thrill seeker, but she means that when she says that. She's done it.
Yep. Just do it. And, if it's your time, it's your time. That's always what I say. I'm like, you know what? I've done up until this point, if I were to go today, I have done so much incredible stuff, and I'm so proud of the life that I've lived, that I would be honored to have that be my legacy and what I'm leaving behind. And I think that's just how I approach life in general, is everything I pour my heart and soul into. Is this going to be something that I look back on 5, 10 years from now and be proud of? Even if it wasn't the thing that carried me through the next 10, 20 years. Yeah. I think I look back on some jobs that I took that, I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't do that again. But you know what that job did? It let me do X, Y, and Z. And it got me to meet this person, or it put me in this room so I could be somewhere else.
That's, yeah, I love that. And that's beautiful. And I look at things that way too. While not a thrill seeker like that, it is often how I lead and make my decisions. People ask me all the time, like, why do you work so hard? Or it seems like all you do is build businesses, or you're in the gym or whatever. And the truth is, like, that's partially true, but I still make time for the things that matter. I still make time to travel. I'll be in Hawaii next month for my birthday for almost a week. I'll be recording a in-person podcast episode there, which is going to be really exciting. But you make time for the things that matter, and that's what leads to no regret, like you said. So I think about that all the time because life is short. We all know people that we've lost very early on, or maybe we never feel like we
Very
have enough
much.
time with people, but it makes you realize like, wow, if it's your time, it's your time. I mean, there's a lot of people maybe we don't even know personally. You hear the way that they lose their lives and you're like, dang, it really goes to show you it really can happen at any time. So I live by that gauge too. And it's just it's so important to not be on your deathbed if you're lucky to enough to be able to recount your life before it ends, to not have any regrets. Maybe you didn't get to things, but to be able to look back and not have to say, man, I wish I would have tried that. I wish I would have
Yeah.
traveled, or I wish I would have tried to build that business, whether it succeeds or it fails. Like, at least I tried.
Yeah, exactly. And and to me, it's always learning. It's all information. Everything you do, you're gathering information that's going to inform the next choice and the next decision and the next risk that you might take. So to me, it's all an opportunity to figure something else out and maybe get yourself pointed in a direction that you didn't know you wanted to be in. I think so much of who I've met and the interactions that I've had with people outside of work even has led to the most work that I've gotten, to be honest with you. Like, my jobs are fantastic and fun, and I do work a lot, same as you, and I do have a lot of things floating in my sphere at any given time. But for me, it's all fun, and I still all really enjoy every single one of them. And I'm not a big believer in the like, if you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. It's still work. Don't get me wrong. You are working, it is a thing, but
It's miserable, I feel like, a
little
little
less
bit.
miserable. And then you're excited to be there, especially when you're working alongside people that you love. But also, I've met the most interesting people outside of working and just being out in the world and trying a new class, or just being by myself at a coffee shop or a bar and just randomly chatting with people. I know that's not, we don't chat anymore, we scroll on our phones, but like back in the day, you would meet people and those connections would always likely, like, I got so many strange, hey, remember when I met you in this random bar? I thought of you because X person needs this. And I've had so many interesting referrals in my personal business because of that. And so that's been really lucky for me, just thinking in business terms of, I think life should be fun. And if you're having fun, that's going to attract the people and the places and the opportunities and the possibilities that you actually want, instead of trying to force them or like wedge your way into something just to make it happen. I love things happening organically and being surprised. I think that's ultimately, I guess, sort of my motto or MO in life, is just like, I want to be surprised by what's coming next and where I end up. Every year I look back and I'm just like, wow, I did all that last year. That all happened last year. Even if it wasn't a particularly like banner year, at least looking back, I'm like, wow, I did a lot of stuff that I kind of forgot that I did. That's really cool. Or, I have now all of this great information and it's led me into this new path.
Yeah, I love that too. Doing the end of year recaps that are, everybody does on Instagram, even though nobody really sees them. They never get a lot of traction, which is fine. But I do love that because even this last year, I was like, I don't feel like I did that much this year. And even in Benefit Bar, I'm like, I don't think I did a whole lot. But then I went and I do a recap for each thing, my personal life, both of my businesses. And then I'm like, whoa, dang, actually I did. And I
Yeah.
also had a concern that I didn't like document enough of it because I try not to live on social media, which you and I were just talking about too, Jess. And I actually documented quite a bit of it because I feel like often I don't post a lot of my personal life things or me with friends and doing anything outside of building businesses. And so I love being able to reflect back at the year and be like, wow, I did a
Mhm.
lot. And there's a lot of important moments that I didn't capture because I was present, but also lots that I did capture. And it allows me to
Yeah.
kind of encapsulate that. So I also love being able to look back and be like, wow, I did do a lot this year. I didn't feel like
Yeah.
a winner at some points, but it, because by the end of the year, I think everybody's like, get rid of this year. This year was terrible. It seems to happen every
Yeah.
year. And I always just like to look back and remember all of the positive because we get a choice,
Mhm.
and I'd rather remember it for the good that I created or the good that I experienced. So
Well, and I even look back, and it's true. Every year, it's like, I don't know if I want to see 2026. Show me kind of what it's going to look like before we dive in, because 2025 was complete shit. Like, and yes, for a lot of things, it was tough. It was a tough year. I think all around everyone felt that. But I look back and I'm like, wow, I made a choice to leave a situation that was no longer serving me. It allowed me to do a couple other things and try my hand at a couple of different types of events. Also didn't serve me, but hey, I tried them out. And you know what else I got to do was relaunch Feral and figure out what that even looked like. And that's stuff that I was just like, oh, I totally forgot that that happened this year. I totally forgot I just redid my whole platform and figured everything out. But here we are, and looking back and just looking at like, oh, I got to visit my friends. I got to spend a lot more time with people that I hadn't seen in a very long time.
So I want to move to Feral now because all of your
Perfect.
experience, all of the things that you just mentioned, you left behind last year, and the things
Mhm.
that choice was able to open up for you led to the Feral experience, or rather, that was the goal to build her up, which has become this big, amazing, beautiful thing. So I would love to have you talk about that journey.
Feral experience journey has been a roller coaster, to be honest with you. I think this will be my February 1 is 2 years of feral experience being just somewhat in existence in some shape, form, or other. And it all started with a good friend of mine. We were just having a chat over a kitchen island and some snacks and just talking about the dance fitness, industry and sphere as we do. We were all dance fitness instructors at one point, and just kind of talking about how it's so frustrating to be paying somebody else to teach their platform when we're so talented ourselves. And it was very much, she just kind of dropped this little like earworm of, why are you building somebody else's dream when you should be building yours? And so that has just been in my brain for the last 2 years of like, yeah, why am I continually paying, $30 a month to teach somebody else's platform? Granted, they're a ton of fun and I love teaching them. But yeah, why am I like, I'm never going to reach that level of success doing that. Like, I can still do that for sure. And I do. But if I really want to be known and have something of my own, I need to build it. It needs to come from me. And so I truly was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make my own dance fitness platform. And I tried for like a good, I don't know, 6 months maybe. And it was awful. Like everything was just an echo of what I was already doing and already teaching in the platforms that I was already aware of. It just wasn't me. And so I kind of gave up on it, to be completely honest. And it wasn't until my good friend Brittany, who runs Women in Wellness, 2 years ago was like, hey, I want to feature you as like the woman of the month. Let me know what you're teaching. Let me know what you have going on. And I was literally about to text her and just be like, I think there's better women. Like, I'm not doing anything really remarkable or anything. And like, as I was typing it, something like just as woo woo as you can get, like dropped in and was like, you teach feral. And it is a somatic movement practice. It's anchored in the 7 feminine archetypes. Each class is going to be a different experience. So you can, channel that inner feminine, whatever the lover looks like. That's going to look a lot different than the queen. That's going to look a lot different than the sage. It's going to look a lot different than the wild woman. This is what you're teaching. So I deleted all of that. And at the time was teaching at a beautiful studio that really was open to just letting instructors explore platforms. And if they wanted to test something, there was space for it. So I messaged the owner and was very much just like, hey, I know there's nothing on Saturday mornings. Can I take a 10 a.m. slot? And I'm teaching feral. Here's what it is. And she was like, great. When do you want to start? I was like, because it was like January 20th or something. So I was like,
Yeah.
I could start like February 12th or something like that. Or, some like, give me 3-4 weeks to like figure out what it is that just dropped in. But literally within those 3 weeks, I came up with just a basic outline. And at the time, Feral was strictly movement. It was just Feral movement at the end of the day. We had a little bit of a guided visualization to get us prepared for the movement, but largely it was a 50-minute class of movement with, at the end, tying in a little bit more of like a Shavasana style integration. And I would come around and provide energetic healing in the form of Reiki. And I did that for about 6 months. It allowed me to do a couple of retreats in Tulum. It allowed me to do a couple pop-ups, which I was so excited to have Benefit Bar at one of them. And it was just a beautiful way to explore it. And then in October of 2024, I was like, I'm going to take a break through the end of the year and just kind of see what I want to do come January. And then I did nothing until September of 2025. So then it kind of came back in the, like, slowly, like over the summer, I was like, I think we need to dive back into Feral and revisit it. And at the time I had moved on from that studio, and I was doing a lot more guided meditation, a lot more one-on-one Reiki, a lot more research and just learning on my own about how change really happens in the body and how movement is such a strong component for that. It really helps energy move quickly. But if your body's not prepared for it, if you don't know what you're moving through, the integration and the change isn't sustainable. It might feel good in the moment to do a lot of those somatic practices, and trust me, they do. I love them. But you'll leave and you won't necessarily have integrated, or your body won't have understood why. And it'll revert back to what you've been doing all along. So I really wanted to understand how I could use somatic movement paired with a couple other modalities to really create a more transformational and sustainable practice that led people down a more healing journey that actually was healing. And you could turn back and point to and notice where you were making incremental changes. It's not an overnight change by any means. And it's certainly not to replace anything. I always think of it as an ally. Like if you're going to talk therapy, if you're doing other, if you're microdosing, you're doing other things that are helping you along your healing path, this is going to be a supplement to that. It's going to really help amplify the work that you're already doing, or at least get you curious about doing more. It's a bridge for sure. And so at the end of the day, it all dropped in where it was like, we need to make sure that your mind is present in the moment. So we drop in with a meditation. Every class has a theme, kind of a theme within a theme, right? So for example, this month, the theme is stillness. And then there's 4 classes in that series, and each class builds upon one another. So in the stillness theme, we just did the deep quiet. We're going to do listening beneath the surface, like all of those kinds of things that really guide you in a stillness theme. But then each meditation plays into that theme, and then you move into free writing so you can get it out onto paper. You can see it and really actualize it, in real time. And then whatever's come up, we move through it with somatic movement, and the movement always complements the theme for sure. And then same thing, we end with a longer, more Shavasana type integration where I come by and still do hands-on Reiki for everybody. And then you're out into the world in 60 minutes, but just such, 4 modalities packed into one really powerful experience. Sorry for all the rambling.
No, it's great. And I've been to Feral a few times and I love it. I love going. I've had some really crazy positive experiences too, especially getting Reiki from you. I feel like I've had Reiki from other people, but we've talked about it too after you've done Reiki on me, and we've had like a similar experience. Like she's experienced what I'm experiencing kind of from the other side. So it's just fun for me to explore. But aside from enjoying it, I get a lot out of it. But for everybody else who maybe is now interested and curious about it, why is it so important for somebody to practice these modalities? What are the long-term benefits? Or if you're building a business, or maybe for those who are listening who aren't an entrepreneur, what benefits could they look to get long-term, obviously, because they're not going to get it in one session,
No.
as you said.
Yeah. I mean, just like anything, right? Like you're building a muscle, you're learning a new way of being in your body. My whole thing is about getting out of your head and into your body. We spend so much time up in this like 5% of our entire being, and we completely ignore what's happening, below the throat, essentially. And sometimes even like below your nose. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're just kind of this level of water. And so I really just want people to know what it feels like to trust. A lot of the things that, come from it, like obviously meditation, we know a lot of the benefits there in terms of just lowering cortisol levels, reducing stress, all of that, as well as with automatic writing, that also just allows it frees up space in your brain, essentially. It challenges the neuroplasticity of your brain to just sort of let go and get it out. It's kind of the same idea as like the movement, right? We have energy in our body, stories, traumas, joys, all of it, right? Everyone always talks about the trauma, but there's other stuff in there. You might feel incredibly happy for no reason because you hit that, I always like to think of Inside Out, the movie, right? So joy might just really come out really powerfully in a move, and you just might feel elated. But then there's other moves that, might be a little tough, and you're like, oh my God, I want to cry. Just like doing pigeon in yoga, right? You're hitting a little bit of a nerve where it's just like, oh, there's something in there. But moving through that allows that energy to transform and transmute. Other benefits is just building confidence, being able to trust yourself in a situation, whether that's in business or at home, being more confident in your voice, being more confident in what you want, what you need, being able to voice those things and not feel guilty for it. Other people have expressed being able to lose weight, being able to set stronger boundaries. A lot of people have just felt that overwhelming sense of either purpose or knowing who they are and being able to really reconnect with them as individuals outside of the noise that surrounds you. And then Reiki has so many benefits as well, just really helps amplify that parasympathetic state where that moment where your body can restore and heal itself and rest, which I know everyone is getting so much of. So the whole journey in general is really just to allow you to like lower that stress level, to change and open up your mind in a way that allows your body to move through and create new pathways for change. And then obviously integrating it all in with allowing your body to rest and restore in this new pathway.
Yeah, and all of this stuff it's so important, and what I'm so happy about is that so many more people are starting to be curious about this and starting to experience it, because I also very much believe in these modalities and that they work better than Western medicine, or certainly better than ignoring it. But it also, I think the more people that experience this, then the more level-headed we can be in the rest of the world, which you kind of just said too. But I just want to highlight that piece, that I believe that it long term will help to reduce your anxiety and help to improve your focus. And so I think that leads to calmer, kinder people, and people who can excel more in whatever thing you're working towards, whether it's building your business or just being a more present parent, perhaps, like whatever that looks like for you. I know when I leave Feral, I feel just so light and so clear. And like, I know where the next direction is that I need to go. And it's not that I show up when I'm lost. I show up because I like to move my body, and I'm always picking different things to go to and to try. But to have that moment of just clarity because you've been able to disconnect from whatever is happening for even an hour. You're able to get your emotions out physically, get them out on paper if need be. And I just always feel so clear and like, like it feels like a big release. So if anybody is in the area, I would highly, highly encourage you to check out the Feral experience. And so you know where to go to do that. Jessica, where can they find you? Where can they find Feral?
They can find Feral every Thursday at 6:45 at Casa Luna in Scottsdale. And if anyone is interested in doing this more remotely, slide into my DMs. I'm trying to gauge if that's a thing. I've had a couple of people who have attended that don't live in Arizona full time. They're snowbirds and are like, what do I do? Can I do this remotely? When do you have classes online? So definitely trying to figure out what that might look like. So stay tuned on.
Okay, perfect. And what is your handle so they can slide into your DMs?
Feral Attuned.
Perfect.
Just
Nice
add
and
Feral
easy.
Attuned.
And I will link that down in the show notes below. They can book the class through your handle as well, correct?
Yep. Yeah. All that link in bio stuff. It's all there.
Nice and easy. Okay, perfect. I'll make sure they can find you super easy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing all of your experience and just giving them all these juicy nuggets, not only about taking care of themselves, but about how it's okay to let go and do something different than what you see everybody else doing.
I think that's just the ultimate thing in Feral is like, yes, some classes may be easier or harder, just depending on where you're at in your life and kind of what you're going through and working on. But it's not a performative thing. I'm not asking you to share with the class. Like, this is a very individual experience. If you want to talk to me afterwards, absolutely. But this isn't like I think a lot of people get stuck in I don't want to go to something like that because then they're going to make me say stuff. We're not saying words. This is a completely on your own experience and journey that you can always ask me after for anything. But I never want anyone to feel like they have to tell their life story in a class where you're meant to be going inward and traveling in with yourself and learning more about you. So I think that also, I like to always say that I'm like between the woo and the world for people. I'm that bridge. So if you are curious and interested, this is such a beautiful entry point into such a beautiful world of other holistic modalities that might serve you even better.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for adding that on.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so much fun getting to talk with you. And I can't wait to see who else is on here. Also, low-key sad that I'm not your live podcast guest in Hawaii. That just feels,
I know, right?
Like such a bummer.
Right? That one's going to be fun.
It's all right.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm so excited. I'm
excited that you're taking time for yourself to take a trip and go to Hawaii. So I applaud you for making that decision for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Rebel Rise podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and invite your friends to join us next week. This is your time. Now get out there and rise.